Hello again, everyone. So this is a little bit of an exciting video for me because I have been waiting for all of my Isaro watercolors that I had ordered to come in, and they finally did. So I had mentioned before on the channel that I purchased this Jackson's exclusive mixing set from Isaro. So this box here contains all of those that are in that mixing set, and it's actually quite a good deal because these tubes are the same size as the regular tubes. For some reason I thought they were a little bit smaller, but they're not. They're the same size. So these are new to me, and the four around the edges here are new to me. I have Beverly Rose, and I'll tell you what each of these colors are here when I swatch them. So I have Beverly Rose on the side, Steel Blue, Nordman Green, and Icy Lake. And then I will go through the names of these when I swatch. These I've already swatched on the channel, so everything in this palette is going to be Isaro except for this special edition random gray from Schminke, which I love, and it mixes great with everything, so I figured I would add it to this set here. And I'm going to be putting it in this little box where I have this insert, this 18 pan insert from Poems About You. So I wanted to make sure that I had 18 colors that I would like permanently in one little tin, or at least until, you know, one or two colors runs out permanently. And this is a little tin that I got in Switzerland. So I was originally going to put this insert into another pan, and then when I found this, I really wanted to be able to use this particular pan, or palette, pan, whatever. So I'm gonna put these all in this palette after I've swatched all of these. And basically the reason why I want to swatch, well, I won't be swatching these because I've already swatched these. So I'm gonna put a link to the videos, if I can find them, to where I swatch these colors. These are all Isaro colors, and this is Random Gray. This is Boreal Blue, Sateen Blue, Sap Green, Imperial Moon, Powdery Pink, and Chartreuse Yellow. But I am gonna swatch all of these around the edges here. And then, but I am gonna put these in this with the rest of these mixing colors. I probably, oh, and I might use this one as well, this Nordman Green. But we'll see once I've swatched everything. So let me get these. Well, actually I'm gonna leave those there because I don't wanna lose the colors that I wanna put in the pan. I'm gonna put all those tubes off to the side. Excuse me. And I have some water off here to the side. And I'm going to start with these that were not in the set. And I think some of these are rather new colors. So I'm going to try and make sure that this doesn't completely jump out everywhere. I probably should, oh, actually I have one in here. So I probably should have some little extra half pans ready just in case the color wants to completely explode out of here, just so that I can put it there and not have it get all over my table. All right, so let's see. Oh, it feels like it's gonna be well behaved. Okay, that's good, that's good. So I don't wanna put too much there. Okay, so this is Beverly Rose, which I believe is a rather new color for them. And this is PY154, PR122 plus pearlescent. And I've mentioned on the channel before that they have a lot of really beautiful pearlescent colors that aren't super pearlescent, which is kind of nice because you just get sort of a subtle shine. And this is probably more watercolor than I would use, and these are very highly pigmented. I'll try to put less down for the future swatches. So this is going to be quite intense here, but what I will do is rinse my brush out and then put some water down here on the bottom so that you can see how that looks less intense. And that is just gorgeous. I really love that shade of pink, and you can already see a little bit of the sparkle. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but I can certainly see it. Okay, so that's Beverly Rose. And then I'm going to do this Nordman Green, which I already know I want to put in my palette because it looks really beautiful in every swatch I've seen it in. Okay, let's just put a little bit of that this time. Okay, that's probably already a little too much, but let's see. It's kind of hard to control when you're getting things out of directly from the tube instead of swatching from a pan, which is my preferred method, but these just came in and I cannot wait to swatch them. And I have the time right now. So there you go. It's a beautiful, beautiful green. I'm going to leave that for a more wet portion. So I'm going to, that's there. And I do believe that this one's granulating. So that is the Nordman Green, which is PG7 and PV16. All right, so let's go to Icy Lake now. Okay, I'm hoping these will all be well behaved. So far, so good. Okay, oop, that has a little bit of binder here, but we're gonna try and make it work. Okay, so this is the Icy Lake, which has PB29. They seem to really love using PB29. PB29, PBR7, and mica. And from the angle that I'm at, this looks really super sparkly, and I'm sure you could get this darker, but I don't want to, since there is some binder towards the top, I don't want to put any more out. I might try and mix it in the tube with like a little paper clip or something so that I can reintegrate the binder with the color. But even as it is, it's beautiful. I apologize for my coughing. I just finished eating something, so that's never a good idea to start a video after that, but nonetheless, this is when I had time. Okay, so I don't know if I said this is PB29, PBR7, and mica. And I think you'll really be able to see that sparkle once it's dry. That one seems to have a little bit more sparkle than Beverly Rose. Okay, and this next one is Steel Blue. And this should also have a little bit of sparkle in it. I've just been really liking their sparkly colors because they're not super duper strong, which I like. Okay, again, a little bit binder here, so I'm gonna try and make it work again. Okay, let's see if I can get that water off of there. And again, because of the extra binder there, these are going to probably look lighter than you can get them. You could probably get them more saturated than this, but this is what I'm going to work with for now. Oh my goodness, look at that Nordman green. Look at that beautiful, beautiful granulation. Wow, that's pretty good. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the set colors. And the first one here is Isaro Yellow Light, which is PY154. So let's try, oh, so well behaved. I'm really happy with these. That's not always what happens. Okay. Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. I was planning on putting all of the colors in the mixing set into my pan. And so far so good with the yellow. And okay, let's go with yellow ochre next. Okay. Putting a little bit of that there. Oh, I hear some stomping around now that I'm in the basement here. I get the stomping at the end of the workday. Okay, so this is yellow ochre, and I'm going to add a little water to that. So now I have yet another yellow ochre, but that's okay. This is going to be part of my set. It's actually a really beautiful yellow ochre. So then the next one, oh, did I say what that was? That is PY42 on the yellow ochre. And this next one is Oxide Orange, which is a color I haven't really heard of, but it's PR101, which is a pretty common pigment. So let's see how that goes. Oh, and again, I probably put a little too much here on the page, but you'll get a really saturated version of that. This is going to be way more saturated than my normal swatches because it's right out of the tube and it's a little more harder to control. Okay, that's beautiful. Like I said, so far so good on these. The next one is going to be Venetian Red, which is also PR 101. So let's see how that differs from the last one we put on here. Okay, I'm going to try and put a little less because I don't think we need all of that. But it's really hard to, like I said, it's really hard to control out of the tube. Oh, that's probably a good amount. Okay, lovely. So many different shades of PR 101. And I really do like Venetian Red. And then the next one is Scarlet Red, which is PR 255. Ooh, that one's a little more unruly, but let me see if I can just get a little bit there on the page. I have a feeling this one's going to be pretty saturated. Yes. Oh, these are amazing. I highly recommend this set already. Oh, that's a little fuzzy there. All right, so the next color is Isaro Rose, which is PR 122. And this is one of my favorite pinkish colors. So let's see how that looks. Yes, beautiful. And I could probably get this more saturated, but I'm going to leave it be. And you're going to get a little bit of that glare until they dry a little bit more, but I'll also tilt them so you can see them really well. Okay, so the next one is Ultramarine Blue, which is always an old standby, in my opinion. Color I try to have in almost every one of my palettes because it's such a good mixing color. And I also like the color for skies. Okay, oh, that's a really intense, nice ultramarine too. Okay, I'm gonna do some water here. And I'm gonna do the last blue, and then I'm gonna do the two that are left over here. Okay, so this next one is Phthalo Blue, which is PB 15:3, and ultramarine is PB 29. Pretty much always. I don't think I've ever seen it not be PB 29, unless someone had some really funky ideas of what. Okay, of what ultramarine is. Okay, I'm only going to put a tiny bit of that because usually phthalo blue is pretty darn strong, and this is no different. Okay. That is really nice. And I think just the way I'm drawing it down is getting more saturated and sort of the more watered down. All right, so last two colors before I fill my palette. Okay, so this is Payne's Gray. It's another color that I really like. I like a dark in my palette, like either Payne's Gray or Indigo to darken up colors that's not black. Even though Payne's Gray usually has some black in it, and so does Indigo, but it tends to be a little bit less harsh than just straight black. So this Payne's Gray has PBK 11, PB 29, and PB 15. But yeah, it's usually a combination of blue and black, although this is a pretty dark Payne's Gray. Still good though, but it definitely leans less blue than some others. Okay, and the final one is Burnt Sienna, which is PBR 7. And then that's gonna go there. And all of my colors were fairly well behaved. I'm very happy about that. So I didn't even need those pans. All right. On this one, I probably could have put more down. So you could get it more saturated than that. All right, so let's take a look at what we have here. Well, there's obviously one big standout, and that's the Nordman Green. So that one is already my favorite, and it's definitely ending up in my palette. And let's see. But yeah, these are great mixing colors. Really, really great. These are gonna work really well in a palette together. The only one actually that I'm not super excited about is the Payne's Gray. I'm wondering if I should swap out the Payne's Gray because I have a lighter gray. No, I think I'm gonna leave this Payne's Gray and we'll just work with it. Okay, so let me show you what I was thinking. Well, first let me put these up to the camera so that you can see them a little better. Really beautiful colors. Not very much granulation in these mixing colors, but often you won't find that in mixing colors. That Beverly Rose is also really, really beautiful. But I'm already gonna have two pinks, so I don't know that I want another one. All right, so let's see. So here we are, and then I'm going to do the Nordman green. Let me make sure, is this enough? 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yes, so that's 18. All right, so there's 5 on each row, or 6 in each row in this palette. And then I wanted to supplement these colors. This one definitely is an addition with this. I think I already called these out what they are, but this is the Random Gray by Schmincke, Boreal Blue, Sateen Blue, Sap Green, Imperial Moon, Powdery Pink, and Chartreuse Yellow. So I really only have one sort of sparkly color that's, or two really. The Boreal Blue also has a little bit of sparkle, but it's very, very subtle, is the Imperial Moon, which is sort of a neutral, that's a little bit darker than the Burnt Sienna. So let's go ahead and start filling this palette. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna lay these out, how they're gonna go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Although I'm gonna have the powdery pink, which is also pink, but I think I'm gonna put that at the end as sort of an ancillary color. So let's do those 6, and then let's go from dark to light here. Payne's Gray, Boreal Blue, Sateen Blue, Ultramarine Blue, and Phthalo Blue. And then let's also put the Random Gray in that row as well. Okay. And then the last row, although, do I want the, no, we'll put the greens together. So in the last row, I'm going to have Chartreuse, Sap Green, Nordman Green, and then I'm going to do Powdery Pink, Imperial Moon, and Burnt Sienna. So I do kind of have to think about whether I want these laid out differently down here. I might. So let's see. I'm gonna put pink here. Actually, let's go with that, because I think that'll be kind of a nice, these will be like the additional colors that aren't in, aren't yellow, red, and blue. But obviously we have some grays up here too. But I think this will be a good color order. So let me keep those the way they are, and then let's go ahead and put them in here. So I thought about doing the whole slanted fill of these like I did in my last video where I filled one of these pans, but because these are rather small, I think I'm just going to fill them up to the top. So, because it might be a little difficult to get in there with the palette knife to do that. And this, each one will probably use about half of these tubes, which is fine, because this is where these tubes are going. All right, And I do have extras of the powdery pink and the chartreuse yellow because I love those colors so much and I really didn't want them to run out. So I had already gotten extras of those two. And then we're going to do the yellow ochre. So basically my philosophy with palettes is I like to do the warm and cool of all the primaries. So here the cool yellow would be this Isaro yellow light, and the warm yellow I think would actually be this oxide orange. or the yellow ochre. That's probably more the warm orange or warm yellow here. And then I have Isaro Rose as the cool leaning red, which you can't see up here. And then I have Scarlet Red as the, so Isaro Rose, the cool leaning red, Scarlet Red, the warm leaning red. And then with blue, I have Phthalo Blue, which is towards the cool side, and Ultramarine Blue, which is towards the warm side. So I have those, and then I kind of build everything around it as far as what extras I might like in there. And this one kind of already chose some of what those extras would be for me, which is kind of nice because they're all in this mixing set together. So like this oxide orange, is an extra. So is the Venetian red, but I really like Venetian red. I'm kind of happy that that is in this set. Burnt Sienna is also one that I like to have in most of my palettes. These have a really nice consistency. Only some of them, like we had a couple that had a little bit of extra binder that ended up in there, but and then I think there might be one or two that would be a little thick. I think that sateen blue is a little bit thick, but generally they have a pretty good texture. And once these go towards running out, I will get out my little tube squeezer to roll up the ends of these tubes and get every little bit out. Okay. And then the last one in this row is that Isaro Rose. Okay. Trying to be fairly consistent in how I fill them too. So I'll probably get one, maybe only a half of a fill from these tubes. And the tubes are, how big are they? They are, oh, it doesn't say, 7 milliliters. So it's kind of an odd amount. Most places have different amounts usually. Okay, so then here, let's see, I'm trying to see if I'm sure I want that gray to be on the second row. And I think I do. I'm gonna go ahead and go with it. I try to go in color order, but you know, sometimes that's just not possible, or they'll always be in the palette. It's not like they won't be there. Okay, so that is that random gray, which I really, really love and is granulating. So that'll be a nice granulating addition to this palette, along with the Nordman green. And then this one is Payne's gray. So I'm essentially going to be using that Payne's gray as sort of a black in my palette. And then we're doing Boreal Blue, which was an addition to the mixing palette. And I really, really love this color. Oops, having a hard time opening that. There we go. It's a really, really beautiful sort of neutral blue with a little bit of mica in it, which makes it nice. You can even see in the pan that it's sparkling, which is kind of cool. Okay, so I'm gonna put that one off to the side. And then we have Sateen Blue, which I thought was sort of like a Indanthrone, given it's sort of a warmer blue even than ultramarine. And this one is stuck as well. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna have a lot of, yeah, this is the one that was really stiff. Probably good at them using it. Wow, that's really stiff. Okay. But it still comes out. I just think that there might be a little bit of a gap over there to the side. Okay, that was a challenge. Yeah, I don't know if it's just because this color has been sitting in the tube longer or what the deal is. And you can even see it was so hard to get out that it was unraveling on the bottom. So that was an addition by me. That wasn't in the original mixing one, but this one was, which is ultramarine blue. Okay. And then phthalo blue, which is also in the original. So essentially the second row is going to all be grays and blues. Oops. And then I'm already liking the way the color progression looks there. And then we're gonna do burnt sienna. Okay, and I'm wondering again if I want to reverse the order with these. I might do the dark green. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it that way instead of the way I had it laid out. Okay, so here's that Nordman green, which I'm already thinking I may need to get another tube of because it is so beautiful. And this powdery pink that I'm going to put in here, it's like one of my all-time favorite watercolors at this point. Okay, and then we're going to put in sap green, which I think is a lovely, lovely sap green. This Isaro sap green. It's quite amazing. I've already put it in a few palettes, so I think we're almost running out of that one. Okay, that was also an addition. The only one here that's not an addition to the mixing set is the burnt sienna. Okay, so this one is chartreuse. I probably, I don't think I have my little tube squeezer here in the room with me. But this is probably where I would try to use that, because that way you can get out all of the color out of the tube. But I'm just gonna do my best here. And then I might top it off by doing that later, because it's certainly not filling it all the way. But I will finish filling that one later when I have the tube squeezer. And then we have this powdery pink. Oh, all of these are a little bit stiff. Okay. And I love, love, love this color. I don't know why. It's basically like almost sort of like a dusty rose color. And this one again, I probably want to get the tube squeezer to get the rest of that out into that pan. And then we have burnt sienna, which was part of that original mixing set. And that was really easy to fill because it was already full. And then lastly, this Imperial Moon, which is an addition. Oh my goodness, this one is really not wanting to open. I had to put it in my teeth to get it open. Okay, now I'm gonna have little teeth marks on the cap there. Okay, and this one I've also used quite a bit elsewhere, but for some reason it seems to not be running out yet. Okay. All right, so there we go. And what I'm going to do quickly, if I can get this tube closed here, is that I am going to really quickly swatch a little bit of each of these here below these swatches, which I will then put up to the camera, and then we'll be done. A little bit of a longer video, but I think you probably would like to see them all swatched next to each other. So I'm not going to put a whole lot, I'm just going to put a little dash. And because they're still wet in the pan, my swatches might be a little inconsistent, just because it's harder to control when they're wet. You know, I probably took too much water off of there. Okay. This one's pretty much dried out already in the tube. All right, and then the last row. Oops. Probably not going to get a lot of that granulation because I'm not getting a lot of it in there. I'm much more comfortable working with dried pans than with wet paint. I just don't normally paint with wet paint. Okay. That super favorite powdery pink. Oops, that's too much. And then there's this burnt sienna. And then lastly, this Imperial Moon color. All right, so there's my lovely new palette. It's quite heavy, quite hefty with all those colors in there. All right, and then so we have Beverly Rose, Nordman Green, that one was Steel Blue, Icy Lake, and both of these you could get darker, and you can, I don't know if you can see, but I can see the sparkle here. This one's probably the most sparkly of them. And then we have the mixing palette here. And then here is all of those colors in my palette there. I'm really happy with that palette, actually. Just one little persnickety thing, I might have reversed these two just because this Imperial Moon is closer to this color than it is to this color, because I kind of like to have things in color order, but that's really persnickety. This will be fine. And even with that, just that little swatch, you can see some really nice granulation in that Nordman green. That's a new favorite too. All right. Well, that's all I had for you today. Feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Feel free to ask me questions about any of this below, and I will get to you when I can. And I hope to see you next time. But in the meantime, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.